problem 5, this is exercise 10.6 in your text, is really a altogether now kind of thing where we're going to look at direct material and direct labor variance. They've given us a lot of information here. We're going to need this, but we're going to have to put this information together. The only number they gave us in aggregate was this one, of the total amount of hours, and we'll use that for the overhead, or for the labor rate variance rather. But other than that, we're going to have to do some multiplication. Pay particular attention to the standards, because we're going to have to use those to compute our variances. So, taking those numbers, let's go get started. We'll do materials first. Okay, the actual quantity times the actual price. Well, they give us that, I believe. They purchased 20,000 pounds of material at $2.35 per pound. So 20,000 times $2.35 per pound. So that's 47,000 that we spent for the actual quantity times the actual price. Now the actual quantity they gave us, 20,000. But now we need the standard price, and the standard price, $2.50 per pound. So 20,000 times $2.50 per pound, that's 50,000. So right there between those two, we see that we could have spent 50. We did spend 47. That's a $3,000 favorable price variance. Now the standard quantity they give us is 4.6 pounds. So we should have used 4.6 pounds, and we made 4,000 units. They told us that. So 4.6 pounds times 4,000 units. 4.6 times 4,000, 18,400 pounds. That's the standard quantity. And they tell us the standard price. Where's our standard price? $2.50 per pound times $2.50 per pound. So when you multiply that, you come up with 46,000. And you compare 46,000 to 50,000. We should have spent 46,000. Standard quantity, standard price, 46,000. Actual quantity, standard price was 50,000. The difference between those two is 4,000. Unfavorable. You get to say to your boss, hey boss, we could have spent 46,000. We spent 50. Are you happy or unhappy? Unhappy. So the total spending variance, take the little number from the big number, take the letter from the big number, 1,000 unfavorable for our spending variance. And all of these, if you have the chart, plug in the numbers you know, and just push through. It really is not very difficult. The textbook, they give you the equation method and this method and that method. I'm lazy. I see the chart, I fill in the numbers, I can visualize it. If I can see it, I can do it. I can't hit a target I can't see. Okay, the next piece they ask us is to look at the labor rate. They gave us the aggregate labor rate here. So unless they ask us how much we actually paid per hour, and I don't think they're going to, it doesn't really matter. We have what it is. So we could divide that out and then multiply it again, but why bother? We've got that. So now let's take a look at the actual hours, because they tell us the actual hours. Again, you have to keep going back and checking the problem. 750 hours was the actual hours. And they give us the standard rate. Standard rate, what we expected to pay was $18 per hour. Times $18 per hour. And when we do that, we come up with $13,500. So again, think of what we're saying here. We should have spent our actual hours times our actual standards. The center column is our ideal numbers. We could have spent $13,500. We should have spent $13,500. We spent $14,925. How do you feel about that, boss? Well, she's unhappy, and she's $1,425 worth of unhappy. Now we're going to look at the standard hours at the standard rate, and they give us both of those. They have to. So we're told the standard hours are 0.2 of an hour per unit. So we did 4,000 units. So 4,000 units times 0.2 is 800. So our standard hours was 800. Our standard rate, and again they give it to us, standard rate, $18 per hour. 18 per hour. That comes to 14,400. So let's take a look here. Let's make our comparison. Our actual hours, our actual rate, how much we actually spent, because this is actual hours at the standard rate, it's 13,500. The standard hours at the standard rate would have been 14,400, so we're $900 less. That's favorable. We have to put them together to see what the total is. Take the smaller from the larger, take the number from the larger, the letter from the larger. $525 favorable. I'm sorry, I'm a moron. $525 unfavorable. So all you have to think about when you're looking at this is think about what we're doing. Actual. So that's what we really spent. What we really did, what we hoped to spend. What we hoped to do times what we hoped to spend. So the easiest way, the most efficient way to do these is to make up a bunch of these little grids, fill them in and do it that way. It makes perfect sense when you do it that way. Trying to do their factored equation method and all that other nonsense, pain in the butt.